Moving on to the talk show session. Today's talk show will be led by Mr. Oliver Bauder as the moderator. First, please allow me to briefly introduce our moderator. Mr. Oliver is an advisor for sustainable economic development and the topic lead for circular economy in GIZ Indonesia ASEAN. In his roles and as a graduate of the London School of Economics, he collaborates with a range of stakeholders to support Indonesia's low carbon development agenda. Without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Oliver to the stage. To Mr. Oliver, please, the floor is yours. Thank you very much, Mr. Oliver, for moderating the talk show, and we also give our sincerest gratitude to all speakers for the insightful discussion. Please give a big round of applause for a very insightful talk show session. To our esteemed moderator and speakers, please kindly remain on stage as we are going to present the tokens of appreciation. We would like to invite Bapak Eka Chandra Buana to come up on the stage and hand over the tokens of appreciation. First, I invite Pak Chandra to hand over the tokens of appreciation to Mr. Roland. Next, Pak Chandra, please hand over the tokens of appreciation to Ibu Ristika. Next, Pak Chandra, please hand over the tokens of appreciation to Bapak Derajat. Next, Pak Chandra, please hand over the tokens of appreciation to Ibu Amalia. And last, please, Pak Chandra, please hand over the tokens of appreciation to Mr. Oliver. Now, to all speakers and one moderator, please remain on stage because we are going to have a group photo session. Please be ready. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. One more time, 1, 2, 3. Thank you, and everyone may return to your seat. To Bapak Eka Chandra, please kindly remain on the stage and proceed to the podium at your convenience. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear today's event conclusion and closing remarks from Bapak Eka Chandra. Please, Pak Chandra, the time is yours. Thank you very much to Bapak Eka Chandra for closing this event and providing a conclusion regarding this side event. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have gained valuable insights into the delicate balance between economic growth and sustainability. Our excellent speakers have shared their expertise, showing us that while challenges remain, there are concrete steps we can take to ensure that our policies not only drive economic progress, but also protect our environment for future generations. From the national strategies laid out to the grassroots initiatives driven by local champions, collaborations across all levels is key to achieving our vision of a sustainable future. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, finally, the entire organizing team of this side event would like to sincerely thank our excellent speaker, our honorable guests, and all who have participated actively in today's event. We hope this event can contribute to the development of green economic growth in Indonesia, as an emphasis to our commitment to balance economic growth and sustainability principles. My name is Kalisa Mutiara Purnamasari. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much and see you at the next event. Udah selesai.
The year 2045 is near. Standing as a sovereign, advanced, just, and prosperous nation isn't only a dream, where sustainability is a way of life. Ensuring no one is left behind. We are committed to work together in unlocking Indonesia's enormous potential. And we are ready to transform into one of the world's largest economic powers. Bappenas, building the vision of Indonesia. God was smiling when He created Indonesia with extraordinary natural resources, a variety of cultural heritage, and talented young productive resources. We are ready to achieve the 100 years of independence vision to become a sovereign, advanced, just, and prosperous country through 6 economic transformation strategies. Competitive human resources. Indonesia is committed to build quality and competitive resources through modern education, encourage young potential talents to contribute to every aspect of development process. Economic sector productivity. Increase productivity through developing economic modernization by incorporating innovation and technology. Digital transformation. Equitable distribution of digital infrastructure will increase the value of modern industry and support the convenience of the community. Domestic economic integration. Connectivity throughout Indonesia will create the integration of modern economic value chains and optimize domestic potentials. Green economy. Natural and environmental sustainability are top priorities for Indonesia to grow sustainably in line with the economic modernization and technological developments. The new capital city. To complete strategic economy transformation, Indonesia is currently building a new capital city. The new capital city enacts as prototype of the 6 economic transformation strategy as a sustainable innovation city where people and nature can grow in harmony. The new capital city is a future national identity that inspires the world through the development of 6 major economic clusters. Nusantara will become an economic superhub by promoting more inclusive and equitable economic growth to become the central of government excellence. Economic transformation is also implemented throughout Indonesia's regions, incorporating cultural values and local wisdom. Bali will be transformed into green, resilient, and prosperous economy. To accelerate infrastructure provision, we implement innovative financing in a form of blended finance and public-private partnership. Vast investment opportunities through strategic infrastructures project. And promote sustainable investment as a way of supporting business growth while preserving the environment. Considerable efforts have been made in accelerating the implementation of innovative financing scheme. The year 2045 is near. Standing as a sovereign, advanced, just, and prosperous nation isn't only a dream, where sustainability is a way.
Welcome to Bali International Convention Center. You are now at ground floor. In case of any emergency, we are going to inform you using our public announcement system.
Your attention, ladies and gentlemen. This is an emergency announcement.
In case of any emergency, we ask you Not to panic, not to run, not to use elevator. In case of fire emergency, then we will take you out to the flagpoles area near the parking lot. In case of earthquake emergency, during the shaking, we ask you to do drop, cover and hold procedure until the shaking stops. If evacuation is needed, we will take you out to the flagpoles area near the parking lot. In case of tsunami emergency, when we receive tsunami warning, we will take you back inside the building. Then we take you up to the second and higher floor. Thank you for your attention.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, shalom, om swastiastu, namo buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is an absolute honor to welcome all of you to Bali. My name is Kalisa Mutiara, serving as your master of ceremony for today's event. On behalf of the committee, I would like to extend the warmest welcome to our honorable guest, Deputy Minister for Economic Affairs, Ministry of National Development Planning, Republic of Indonesia, Ibu Amalia Adininggar Widyasanti. Country Director, GIZ Indonesia and ASEAN, Mr. Hans Ludwig Bruns. Commission Manager for Green Economic Recovery GIZ, Bapak Mahdonald Anwar. All of our excellent speakers, and all our guests joining us today here in Bali or through virtual channels. We are very honored to welcome you here at the site event for the high-level forum multi-stakeholder partnership held by Directorate of Macro Planning and Statistical Analysis, Ministry of National Development Planning, Bappenas and GIZ, balancing economic growth and sustainability from policy to reality. Lessons and insights from policy experts and local champions. Please give us a big round of applause to begin today's event in good spirits. Thank you. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, today's site event aims to serve as a platform for stakeholders and related parties to deepen their understanding of the green economy in Indonesia and how Indonesia can balance economic growth and sustainability by translating policy into reality. This site event will bring together policymakers, academics, and local champions to share lessons learned and best practices for strengthening Indonesia's economic transformation strategies. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, today's event will commence with the opening context from the Director of Macro Planning and Statistical Analysis, Ministry of National Development Planning, Bapak Eka Chandra Buana. Without further ado, I would like to invite Bapak Eka Chandra to deliver his opening context. To Bapak Eka Chandra, the floor is yours.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebaikan Shalom. First of all, I would like to extend my warm welcome to our distinguished guests, the Honorable Mrs. Amalia Adininggar Widyasanti, Deputy Minister of Economic Affairs, Bappenas, the Honorable Mr. Hans Ludwig Bruns, Country Director GIZ Indonesia ASEAN, Mr. McDonald Anwar, Project Manager for Green Economic Recovery GIZ. And our esteemed speakers, Mr. Derajat Wibowo, economist from Indef, Mrs. Ristika Putri Istanti, Head of Lingkar Temu Kabupaten Lestari, Mr. Roland Treter, Program Director for Financing Green Recovery in ASEAN GIZ Indonesia ASEAN. And to all our honored participants, thank you for being here today. Before we dive into today's discussion, let me ask to you, how many of you believe that economic growth and environment sustainability can truly go hand in hand? And more importantly, how to make it happen. Even though climate and environment have in discussion in global issue, sometimes we more focus on economic aspect, especially after pandemic COVID-19. We know the global commitment to achieve SDGs face significant obstacles. Although Indonesian SDGs has improved from 102 in 2019 rank to 78 in 2024, the achievement of SDGs on economic growth and climate action in 2024 experienced a slowing down in achieving target compared to 2019. So, this makes it clear that now we face a critical point. Is it possible we keep environmental aspect while reigniting economic growth? How to set the policy for green growth economy to build forward better? Now we have a national dream, Indonesia Emas 2045, to escape middle income trap that foster both economic growth and environmental sustainability. Back to my last question, how to make it happen and how is the strategy? Today's event titles Balancing Economic Growth and Sustainability from Policy to Reality, Lessons and Insight from Policy Expert and Local Champion aim to answer this pressing question. This event is supported by the German Development Corporation Program and Ministry of National Planning, Bappenas, implemented by GIZ under the project of Green Economic Recovery, Green Growth Diagnostic Framework in Indonesia. This initiative aims to look for the most binding constraint for the transformation toward a green growth economy in Indonesia at both the national and regional level. The output of this program, including today's activities, is expected to contribute significantly to achieving sustainable economic growth in Indonesia. In this talk show, we will hear from policymakers, academics, and local champions who will share their invaluable insight and lesson learned. Thank you for your participation, and that I hand it back to MC. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Bapak Eka Chandra, for delivering the opening context. As Pak Chandra mentioned, today's talk show has set the stage for a vital conversation on how we can balance economic growth with environmental sustainability. As we've heard, achieving this balance is not only possible but essential for a resilient future. Let us carry forward the insights shared by our distinguished speakers and actively contribute to the journey towards a sustainable green economy. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for us to enter the talk show session. Before we turn into our moderator, I would like to inform all participants joining us on site and online that you can ask questions to the speakers through Slido platform. You can access slido.com and type 2972084 as the code, or you can easily scan the QR code displayed on the screen. Moving on to the talk show session, today's talk show will be led by Mr. Oliver Bauder as the moderator. First, please allow me to briefly introduce our moderator. Mr. Oliver is an advisor for sustainable economic development and the topic lead for a circular economy in GIZ Indonesia ASEAN. In his roles and as a graduate of the London School of Economics, he collaborates with a range of stakeholders to support Indonesia's low-carbon development agenda. Without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Oliver to the stage. So Mr. Oliver, please, the floor is yours.
Hello, hello. Thank you very much, Kalisa. Thank you all for coming this afternoon. I'm very happy to moderate the session today. And we are really trying to find out this afternoon how we can balance economic growth and sustainability. We want to get some insights from policymakers as well as experts, practitioners, and local champions in the field. And I'm very delighted to be leading the session. and trying to gather the most out of the participants. And for this, I would like to first of all also thank Paika Chandra for the opening remarks, and then I would like to ask our distinguished guests on the stage individually. First of all, Ibu Amalia Hadininggar Widya Santi, Deputy for Economy in Bappenas, Ministry of National Development Planning. Please, Ibu Amalia, would you like to come on stage? And Ibu Amalia, of course, as a Deputy for Economy in Bappenas, fulfills this role as a policymaker, being in charge or contributing to the national development planning in Bappenas, coordinating between different ministries and also directorates in Bappenas. We are very happy to get her insights on the policy perspective here, on Bappenas perspective in leading this subject. The second speaker we have today, we were very delighted to have Dr. Drajat Wibowo. He is an economist for INDEF, the Institute for Development of Economics and Finance, and he's actually also served as a member of parliament in the DPR, and he is a seasoned academic, but also supporting the incoming government as an expert advisor. So, Pak Drajat, very happy to have you. Please come on stage. Thirdly, we would like to get also some insights from local practitioners trying to actually make sense of this very broad question of multi-stakeholder partnerships that is the narrative of this whole event. And there we have Ibu Ristika Putri Istanti, who is the head of the Lingkar Temu Kabupaten Lestari, or LTKL, who will share her insights on actually trying to make it a reality, working with different stakeholders and making sense of sustainability on the ground. Ibu Ristika, please join us on stage. And then last but not least, we have a dear colleague of mine from GIZ Indonesia ASEAN, focusing on the ASEAN portfolio, Mr. Roland Treitler. He has extensive experience in the private sector, in finance and investment banking, but is leading now on the topics of financing the green economic transition in ASEAN, especially with ASEAN Secretariat, and we're very much looking forward to get his insights as a practitioner. Roland, please join us on stage. Okay, so we have to look a bit at the time. We have around 50 minutes for this discussion, and I would like to get through 3 narratives of questions. Since we have an audience here that might not be so familiar with Indonesia's ambitious development targets, they might have heard of the RPJPN, Indonesia Emas, Golden Indonesia 2045. It would be great to get a quick insight overview from Ibu Amalia. Why do you think Indonesia needs such ambitious policy targets? And what are the key priorities for the next 20 years as set out in the just recently ratified RPJPN? Please give us an insight.
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. Actually, this is an important session that in the future, Indonesia not just trying to have a very high growth, but also we have to balance. Now, the balancing means that we have to also include the sustainability and inclusiveness into our economic growth. So in this context, probably I would like to also, probably some of the people here already know about what is the Golden Indonesia 2045. I don't want to repeat because of your question. I would like to just give the overview of the Golden Indonesia 2045 vision. I would like to focus on the right picture anyway, that the Golden Indonesia 2045 vision is actually a sustainable development for the future Indonesia. Why? Because if you look at the 5 development target. That these 5 development target is showing the characteristics of the 2045 of Indonesia. So if you look at that target, consisting of 5, we call it 5 vision, 5 development, Indonesia's main target for the 2045, consisting not only the economic aspect. Number 1 is about how Indonesia can really achieve the high income economy by 2045. That is the economic aspect of our development target for Golden Indonesia. But secondly, we also to ensure inclusiveness. And what is the target? We need to have a reduction in poverty and also to reduce inequality. Number 3 is about diplomacy, the context of how Indonesia will be positioned in the global world, that we have to be, we have a power, global power. Indonesia have to be a country with a global power. That will be number 3. And number 4, human resources. Human capital is the asset for our, for the future of Indonesia. And number 5 is regarding to the environmental aspect of the target, that meaning that by having these 5 characteristics of Indonesia in 2045, we would like to have a balance of Indonesian development. We would like to achieve high economic growth, but we will not forget about inclusiveness and sustainability aspect. Again, when we are talking about environmental issues, whether economic growth, economic activities will have what they call it, a negative externality to our environment. Let's not do it in the future. Now, how can actually the economic growth can create a positive externality to our environment? So that we would like to have in the future. And the thing is that the paradigm have to be changed. And also we have to say that we can have a high growth, but it will not, I would put it in the other way, that handling or tackling the environmental issues will not be a trade-off to the economic growth. But it can be hand in hand, meaning that while we can have high economic growth, at the same time, we also can contribute a positive externality to our environment.
Thank you very much, Bu Amalia. And I think this is very good as a context, because we would like to structure the session also to have a bit of context, first of all, on where Indonesia is heading. Then we would like to get into how we can actually get there. What it is we want to measure differently, and then also how we get there later on. Pak Derajat, maybe for you as an economist, what is your experience trying to make sense of such high-level targets and policies, and trying to work them into more practical solutions in a country like Indonesia? What has your experience been on making these a reality, making them implementable from your experience?
Thank you, Pak Oliver, Bu Winnie, Mbak Tika, and Pak Ulf, Pak Ronald. Well, let me build upon what Bu Winnie has presented to you before. That in the current government documents, we are trying to balance between economic growth and sustainability. But the Prabowo Gibran's administration in the future that we prepare, we go way further on that. I don't know if some of you are aware that in our campaign, we put climate change as the first on top of the priority of challenges facing Indonesia. We have identified 8 challenges, including geopolitical conflict, conflict potential in the South China Sea. But number 1 on top is climate change. And we trying to transform that change into opportunities. That's why I believe in the future administration, we will not only balance because by balancing means that you have a trade-off. No, we will not only integrate, we will go further, we will use green economy as the driver of economic growth in the future. So the challenge for us, the challenge facing Indonesia to mitigate, not only mitigate but also to deal with climate change, we will use it as a potential power for us to power our growth. How to do it in practice? Actually, we already have some discussion, already have some clear, some detailed plan, and I think it will be conveyed to Bappenas in once Pak Prabowo is sworn in. For example, with green energy, we know the trade-off between coal power and greener sources of energy. We know that green sources of energy, some of them are still very expensive. There is a trade-off, but we don't want to use that as a trade-off. We would like that to be the source of our growth by devising a financial scheme in such a way that our green energy can be financed not only via the market, but also can be made very attractive. How to do it? We plan to combine it, align green investment with carbon trading. I'm not sure I have time to go into detail, but if some of you have a financial background, you know how to do securitization, you know how to do asset-based securitization, you know how to do financial engineering. So actually, there will be lots of financial engineering, financial instruments that we will use, tapping the interest from the global market into green investment. That's one thing. And the other one is that we realize that to change our business climate will take a while. Pak Prabowo already decided that we will, I would call it the regulation. What he said that, why this one so complicated? He always say, why this one too complicated? Why this one too long? Why this one too bureaucratical? He become very impatient, and yeah, we will cut bureaucracy. But what I'd like to stress is, because improving our business climate, ease of doing business, takes some time. Then we choose to have Keynesian stimulus as a stimulus to our growth, which means we have to spend more. By spending, how to spend more, we need to collect more money, more state income. And we have identified a number of sources of income that are untapped at the moment or uncollected. One of the examples that I often raise in the public is that there are around $9 billion of value of tax cases which already adjudicated by the Supreme Court, and the taxpayers have to pay. They haven't paid for around 10 to 15 years, uncollected. And the money is just there. It's not theory. It's something that I see it myself because I saw it myself because we found it when I was in the State Intelligence Agency, and we did something already, but we need to go further. That's one example. There are many other examples, but I will hand it over to Pak Oliver.
Thank you, Pak Derajat. We will go into more detail later on for sure. Thank you very much for giving this insight. Maybe, Bu Ristika, when you hear about these ambitious policy targets until 2045, can you give us, first of all, an insight on what you are doing with your multi-stakeholder partnership at the moment, very briefly, and also How does that translate to your work on the ground, kind of from a bottom-up perspective?
Thank you, Oliver. Like Bu Winnie and Pak Derajat mentioning, like how is the Indonesian vision on 2045? It's very interesting that Bu Winnie mentioned about the not only growing but also balancing. So this is like how we are as the local initiative. So we are as the district government association, or we can call it Lingkar Temu Kabupaten Lestari. So we are part of the caucus of the bigger association of the district government in Indonesia. So currently, like we have across in Indonesia, we have a 9 district member, and our vision at the beginning, like there is challenges that district currently have the challenges because of most likely almost in 9 district member we have like 5.5 million hectare forests and also almost 2 million hectare peatland. So we can imagine we have some kind of problem of poverty, have unemployment, and etc. Because of there is a like resource curse theory. Is that you have natural resources and then your poverty rate is high. And most likely in our district member, most likely in a remote area, and they have a challenge on the poverty. So in Altikal, when we established on 2017, like the member decide like how we can make a proof of concept, how the district can build a sustainable economy, how they can still protect the forest, they can still protect the peatland, the ecosystem, but can also increasing the welfare of the communities. So this is not easy processes because like each district has their own uniqueness, characteristic. We know Indonesia is unique countries that have many biodiversity. This is a big question, and I know that all of us have a question and need answer. How to make sure how is the model, economic model can showing more tangible at the grassroots level. And this is the way on how we are trying to make a blueprint, something like that, how the district can proving as the sustainable district until 2030 as like SDGs goal, and how this small initiative can also replicate to another district across in Indonesia.
Thank you very much. We will get later also more into how you actually do that on the ground, and also how you have to build the understanding of local governments who might not have the same capacities across Indonesia, of course, or who surely don't have that, on a green economy, having a common understanding and all that. Roland, I would like you to reflect a bit and also make the transition to the next narrative, if possible. So you work on ASEAN level, and you have an external and internal perspective on the subject. When you extrapolate a little bit, how do you see Indonesia's ambition in the region, also as the powerhouse, as the economic center of ASEAN, and share some insights on your work. And if you can make the transition, that's going to be the second question. I'll leave you with the first. Put it a bit into context for us.
Okay, thank you, Oliver. Well, in the ASEAN region, each country submitted the NDCs to the UNFCCC. They have some of them already submitted the NAP. The policies are good in place in each country, and the topic of our talk is from policy to reality, and there is that's the key. How to bring the policy to the reality. And I would say throughout ASEAN we have each country is ambitious, but they are at a very different pace and stage according to the political willingness and the capacity, and also as I said, the political willingness is not as good as in Indonesia in all other ASEAN countries. So Indonesia is the most important country in ASEAN. 50% of the emissions are emitted by Indonesia, but they also have 50% of the natural capital of the whole ASEAN country. So definitely Indonesia is leading the region. And I'm not aware of such a ambitious Golden Indonesia roadmap, and not only ambitious but also realistic one, that any other country has this in ASEAN. This is really quite impressive, and I'm happy to be here and to talk to you about this ambitious plan. And I would also like to talk a little bit, maybe bilateral, on the carbon instruments we have to bring this policy into reality.
Thank you very much. I think I will use you as a segue for the next narrative here, and you can go into the carbon aspects as well, because the next narrative would be basically what do we actually want to measure differently. We know that GDP is the conventional and globally accepted standard on economic development, but GDP is very inaccurate not inaccurate, but insufficient in measuring actually sustainable aspects, right? Because if you deforest your rainforest, you sell the timber, it's great for your GDP, but it's not very sustainable. But then there's no better standard yet agreed internationally that would allow financial institutions to follow, etc. So how do we get there? How do we measure this differently? How do we build taxonomies and maybe also on carbon markets? If you have a quick insight as a segue, and I will then pose the same question to Pak Rajat and continue with the colleagues.
Well, on the taxonomy, or what means green and sustainable, ASEAN developed the ASEAN taxonomy, the green taxonomy, and I think this is a good example how a region could work together with the national policies. The ASEAN taxonomy is somehow a guideline. It's not binding for the national countries or the member states, but it gives a good guideline what means green and sustainable. So adapting this regional perspective or this regional approach to the national policies, I think it would be a very good thing if these taxonomies between the ASEAN taxonomy and the national taxonomies would be interoperable. So that means that they can exchange each other and they are following in each other. And that's the beauty of ASEAN, or the beauty and also the need in ASEAN to work together. Each country has its own and specific needs, but under a regional umbrella. So this gives a great opportunity for the whole region to work together, to exchange ideas and to adapt to each other's needs.
Okay, thank you. Following on with Pak Rajat, as an economist, you are well trained in using macroeconomic tools. Where do you see the need to enhance the current modeling capacities, measurement capacities of the Indonesian government to actually measure growth maybe differently, factor in environmental externalities? How could Indonesia do that?
Well, I think Bu Winnie's office has been doing lots of work on that.
We'll get to that in a second.
Has been making lots of progress, and that's on how we develop quote unquote green growth indicators, and we can internalize any environmental impact. That's why there is a term climate change adaptation. We can internalize measures of adaptation into our GDP measurement. So I think Bappenas has been doing a very great work, not good work, great work. Not because of you here, Bu, but because I read it already, and we can build upon that one, and then continue the discussion further. But one thing that we need to stress in terms of not only measuring growth but also enhancing growth is standards. You mentioned about standards before. Maybe in the next session we discuss that how important it is, how important internationally acceptable standards in helping our economy growing. I can give you examples of ISPO and SVLK. Then we can discuss later on. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. There is also a slide we can go into after, but maybe Bu Winnie, over to you. So as Pak Rajat rightfully mentioned, you are already working on how you can actually measure growth differently. I also believe we have 2 slides still. Can you share a bit on what what Bappenas and also the Directorate of Macro Planning is doing on this?
First, I would like to share with you that to achieve the high economic growth in Indonesia, that we have to do the economic transformation. Now, I would like to show to you that the Indonesian economic transformation will be consisting of this policy direction: science, technology, and economic productivity. Number 2 is green economy implementation, digital transformation, integration of the, domestic economy, and urban and rural as a sources of economic growth. Now, I would like to touch upon the green economy implementation. The thing is that what we are now to really can contribute to the economic transformation, how that the green economy principles can be internalized into all economic activities. Now, on this one, we are not talking about the concept of the green economy anymore, but the homework for us and what we have to do together is how can we internalize the green economy principle into all economic activities. And I would like to appreciate LKTL anyway, that this is a kind of one internalization of green economy into the regional policy development. And with that, I think we can really trying that to claim that the Indonesian economic growth is actually green growth, because we already internalized the economic principles, green economy principles into our economic activities. Now, what I would like to also mention here, I don't think that we have to what do you call it? To differentiate, this is brown growth and this is green growth. So what we have to do is that let's internalize the green economy principles. Then we are calculating the GDP. It is actually already green growth, right? Because we ensure that every single steps that we do is already green. That one. Number 2, when we are ensuring, all the economic, this economic 101, supply and demand have to be matched. So we are now preparing the supply side that have to be green. For example, green industry, green services and whatever it is green on the supply side. But again, we have to prepare the green market itself. So the demand also have to be green. We have to put awareness to the people. We have to change the paradigm of our community so the green market will be developed. So, and supply and the demand side has also to be green. So this is another homework for us. And I agree with Pak Derajat anyway. One of the market that we can develop, not only goods and services market, but also financial market and carbon market, right? Market have to be created and market have to be green. When we are talking carbon market, then it is actually implementing the green economy principle. We're creating green market, and one of them is carbon market. We have a lot of potentials of carbon market. We are actually to want to get carbon credits. We are actually a lot of forests, but it has to be capitalized. Not for a negative term, but let's capitalize it for positive term for a more sustainable Indonesian economic growth in the future.
Thank you very much. You touched on communities' understanding also of green, and Ristika, I would like to follow on with you. Still, I think it is still very abstract often to people to see where does this policy really hit the ground. And when you work with communities, what is your thinking of their understanding of a green economy? How can you sensibilize a common understanding that, for example, protecting the rainforest, protecting their lands, protecting the nature is actually of benefit right in the long term? But how can they also see that benefit, and how can there be incentives, for example?
Yeah. Okay. So I just try to zoom in a little bit to the district level, so that we check. Okay. Continuing by what Bu Winnie mentioned before, because like if we want to zoom in the district level, so we are looking like the district have the extractive industry is already there. For example, like the monoculture plantation, any kind of the model that already there. But also they have a forest, they have a biodiversity. So how the district can have the role to maintain those priority to maintain those visions, not only protecting, but also can creating the economic model. So in the left side, how the extractive industry, like Pak Derajat mentioning, how is the certification and etc., how to reducing the negative impact on the any kind of the extractive industry and push and boosting the sustainable transformation or any kind of the sustainable agriculture, sustainable plantation, and etc. Like how the district can goes to the, there is a regional action plan of the sustainable palm oil, and etc. And another side, we know that the district have the forest, have the peatland, have the important ecosystem, they have a biodiversity, how they can creating the value added and growth transformation on the biodiversity itself. So this is the picture, this is coming from our district member. Like in the left side, there is a palm oil, there is a cocoa, there is a coffee. Most likely, if we are looking in the journal or media, it's just, they are the driver deforestation. But we cannot pause and, just ban it. But how the district can make it the transformation on those areas to be more sustainable, to make sure the supply chains is traceable, and also how the district can making the local economic model through the value-added product. For example, there is a pineapple planted in the peatland area. It's like polyculture model, and how the farmer and also there is a community enterprise established it. They extract it to be something, another product, and they can sell it to another market. Or there is a example coming from SIAC in Riau, like they have a 70% in peatland area. You can imagine if there is a peatland is dry, it's drying, and then the forest fire will coming. And in 2015, we know that is the big incident, like there is a big forest fire, and we send the haze to Singapore and Malaysia and etc. And SIAC is one of the big contributor of the forest fire. And now, since last year, there is no forest fire again there. Why? They try to save things. They try to transforming how the palm oil, how the pulp and paper company is there, is collaborating with the government, collaborating with any kind of the multi-stakeholder governance in there, and they trying to finding the alternative economy. For example, is the snakehead fish or ikan gabus. So they extract it to be albumin, and then they make it the pill, like the name is albugo. It's like they can sell it to all the pharmacies, and you can like just open the, I just mentioned the Tokopedia or Shopee, any kind of the online platform. And this is like how they can build the model, local economic model. They don't need to thinking about to export first at the beginning, and they can fulfill the economic in the domestic area. And this is the model that we want to creating, because in the end, like the district, especially the communities, need like how they have money to eat, how they have money to make sure they can, their children goes to school and etc. And how we can creating the alternative model, not only one option, but many options. So this is, but we have to remember the keyword, the balancing is connected with the threshold. Maybe we need to tracing, like, is there any district or is there any subnational level have the threshold or to measure the economic growth? For our district member, especially like it's not easy to finding the threshold. How make sure like, we need to expand, or now we stop to expand. And this is the model that we have to creating as a part of the ecosystem. And again, this process, it can be happen, not only coming from the district government, but also how the local community, especially the youth, is the change maker of the whole processes, coming from the government, coming from the GSO, coming from the private sector, including creating the jobs. And this is the process that we are trying to do, how to answer about the economic growth, about reducing the poverty rate, also unemployment rate. We know that there is a formal works, formal jobs, but they can creating as the community entrepreneurship to creating the albugo one, to creating the pineapple model, to creating the elephant nut for the cosmetic. So this is part of the innovation and technology to creating the transformation process.
Thank you very much. I think it's always good to have more concrete examples to get a glimpse. And I mean, working in Indonesia for several years now also, I always see very great examples of local communities, startups doing good work, but they often have challenges to scale, to grow. And I think this links to also what Bu Winnie Padrajat alluded to. How can we create more incentive systems, also financial incentives for also maybe investment to flow into the right areas. But I think for that, what is needed also is a clearer understanding actually what is green, what is sustainable, which is also our original thought. And Roland, I would like you to reflect maybe a bit on that. How do you think such local communities need to, or how do you think Indonesia needs to assist to identify carbon sinks, natural resources in a way that is actually making it attractive for financial institutions, development partners, etc., to support them, and what's needed from a regulatory or taxonomy point of view? Back to that question, I think it's still unclear.
Yes, the taxonomy is serving the supply side. What is green, how to produce green, and I'm fully with you. Supply side is nice to have, but it's not all. We also need to look at the demand side, raising awareness. So I fully agree on this holistic approach. And the same I see is in the carbon markets. Currently we are dealing in the carbon markets with liabilities. Emission is a liability in economic terms. And often, or sometimes, we neglect the asset. Nature needs carbon to evolve. So for me, the key to incentivize local communities, local wisdom, where a lot really great work is going on, not only here in Indonesia, throughout ASEAN. In each country you see these local champions. To incentivize them, you have to find a way how to integrate the asset, the carbon asset, the nature, ecosystems, peatlands, mangroves, into the economic system. That's for me the key, and then you can come from a national policy level, creating the proper instruments and pay incentives to the good people who are doing great work on the ground.
Thank you. Leading on with a similar question to Padrajat, and I believe there is a slide also you wanted to show, a graph actually, the last slide. What can happen if you have create maybe the right incentives for financing to come into play? Could you reflect a little bit on what you want to visualize here?
Okay, I guess Indonesians and those studying Indonesians know about our plywood industry. Yeah, plywood industry used to be huge in our country, right? Everybody, when you mention the name Bob Hassan, everybody knows him. Very big. At the peak of the industry, it produces 10 million cubic meters every year. At the peak. Why it's falling down? Because it's not sustainable. Because the industry neglects sustainability. Dead. Well, not dead. I mean, going from 10 into 3 million, but now they are surviving. During Pak Jokowi's era, they are surviving. They come into a state what I call steady state at 4 million cubic meters. But they won't grow any longer. Our pulp and papers industries, the world refused to buy our products in the 2000s until 2010, 2015. all big names, all big brands boycotted our products. Even Barbie, Mattel, doesn't want to buy our products. Yeah, you name it, Xerox, everyone. Why? Because the world sees Indonesia as being unable to maintain our forest sustainably. What I'd like to stress here, building upon what Bu Winnie say, internalizing green principles into growth, we need to change our mindset. That's why I'm not inclined too much into putting green and growth as a trade-off. We need to change our mindset that actually being green, being seen as the world as being sustainable, actually pays off. This is the graph, that's Asu. From 2010, our export a little bit higher before, and then because we were boycotted by the world markets, it goes down. And then the industry came to me. I was still in DPR at the time, and then afterward I become Pak Hatta's vice chairman. They asked my help because I've been doing certification. I've been doing standard development since 2001. Okay, I said, look, I don't want to develop any standard that call Indonesia standard blah 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 if it's not acceptable by the world. So I align our standard to Geneva-based PFC, the largest sustainable forest management certification in the world. And after a painful transformation from the Ministry of Forestry, painful transformation from all the players, and also the development of standards that acceptable by global market. From 2014 to 2016, they start to get certified. And then 2016, 2017, the product, certified product, goes into the market. As you can see from the graph, the export jumped by almost 50%. Straight away. When we talk about sustainability, we always talk about long-term benefit will outweigh long-term cost. I mean net long-term benefit. But actually, sustainability pays off in the short term too. That's something that we need to internalize in our mind. That's something that we need to internalize in our growth measurement. Something that's why while some people may see Pak Prabowo being too ambitious, no. Because we see the practice, and Pak Prabowo's company actually want to get certified too. So this is something that we need to campaign more extensively in Indonesia to show people that being green, being sustainable pays off. Then you can internalize everything green. But the principle, the green standards have to be accepted by international market. Because without acceptance by international market, any bond you issue, any green bond you issue, people will not believe it. How can I believe that your product, your asset, the base asset is green if you don't meet international standards? So we need to develop standards that internationally accepted. I think I have to conclude on that.
Very interesting, very interesting to hear. Bu Winnie, continuing with you. I believe there's also another slide, number 7, which actually lays out some of the key policy directions for the APJPN. If you would like to, along the lines of Pak Derajat also, what are the keys in the, they will also show it here, I'm sure, so maybe giving it a bit more life, which sectors you think also are of priority for the next 20 years. Energy has been mentioned as the key part of decarbonization, a transport sector, circular economy. Maybe if you can share a bit more details on the also the concrete policy areas. And I think we get the slide number 7 on would be. Great.
Okay, so I would like also to continue the statement from Pak Derajat just now. Let me borrow being green, but I think this will be a very good term for us. For me, and I would like to also to share our thought to you all that being green is actually the economic opportunity, right? So without being green, then we will be losing our competitiveness. So that's why we have to ensure that green principles is actually be implemented by anyone in this country. Because if you look at the international market now is going towards sustainability market. So the products that is not green, that's not, and then which is not applying the sustainable principles, they will lose the market. And just give, I just would like to give you a very simple example, fashion. So people now trying to move towards a sustainable fashion. And let me mention brand name, for example, H&M and also Zara. They are really applying the recycled materials as their raw materials. So because they also want to claim that they are really applying the economic circular economic principle and also being contribute to the environmental to reduce waste of the textile. So with that, Indonesia have to move to that direction as well. And in our, if you would like me to share this slide, actually.
If you want to, of course.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I can share this one to show to you that we have a green economy index in Bappenas under the Deputy Minister for Natural Resources who developed this index. And then we also have the environmental quality index to measure whether our development activities is really able to improve the quality of our environment. So it is measured by the environmental quality index consisting of water, air, and also the other one is, there is three, water, air, and also land. So again, the principle of the long-term, our Indonesia long-term plan is actually to balance between growth, inclusion, and sustainability, as I mentioned before. So your question is that what is actually the priority
sectors in a way, yeah.
To implement the green economy, right?
Yes.
So again, manufacturing industry will be one of our priority because we would like to have greener manufacturing industries in our country. And secondly is that energy transition, of course, towards the renewable energy, applying the circular economy in our economic activities, not only for the industry, applying like, recycled materials to our factory or to our manufacturing industry, but also how we can apply the circular economy principle in our daily activities, such as plastic waste, that we have to separate it, the plastic waste, and then put it into the recycled plastic waste, right? That is one of the daily and easy actually to be implemented, but again, we need to change the paradigm. We have to change the mindset of the people, which is not easy. Yeah, this is a challenge actually, but we have to do it to that direction if we would like to have a balanced growth in our country. And one of the priority of industry that we would like to facilitate and promote in the future is sustainable industry, including sustainable food industry and sustainable textile industry, that we have to go to that direction. If we really implement the conventional manufacturing industry, we lose the competitiveness. So I'll stop there.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I also believe we need to still allow for questions afterwards. So I want to conclude our last quick round of questions here on how actually we get this done. Of course, we have now found out that we need to change our mindsets. We need to think of a more holistic approach on growth that incorporates environmental aspects as a benefit, not as a cost. Maybe Ristika, can you share, I think there's one slide as well, how you do that in a nutshell in your LTKL?
Yeah, so I think the biggest challenges that we have, I think in all the aspect is about the human capital. It's like if we want to bring, it's like the transformation to be more sustainable, and then we need the good capacity of the human resources. They have a good skill, and not only about the hard skill, but also interpersonal skill and etc. So this is the illustration that we developed since 2020 during the pandemic, because most likely all the district, because like they're already in the remote area, like they faces challenges about the logistic, about the access, about aid distribution, and they're stuck. And how the district must be survived, and they need to be in the survival mode somehow. Like, oh yeah, we have to live, right? So that's why this is like the imagination coming from the district, and we are crafting to be this one. So in the left side is like the district area, like how they have the high conservation value, they have a plantation, they have a agriculture, and etc. The most important thing is like they have to develop the innovation center, the R&D. So if we developing the R&D center, they need the qualified local human capacity. It's not easy to finding the people in the district level. But after they make the R&D center is connected with what the Bu Winnie mentioned, science, innovation, technology, district need that actually. But we know they have a limitation. So that's why how the R&D center can creating some kind of the innovation product, for example, and goes to the production center or community-based intermediate industry. Like the example like I mentioned before. For example, Tengkawang or Ilipenat. It's like Indonesia have a big forest, and then Tengkawang is, or Ilipenat is like the endemic plant in the forest area. And if we can manage those commodities, those biodiversity, they can extract it to the sector of the beauty, because the beauty sectors currently is happening, goes to Japan, the Korea, and etc. In Indonesia, especially in domestic market, it's a huge market. And how the district, you can imagine in Sigi, in Central Sulawesi, is very long and it's very far from us. And those commodity can creating as the value added and goes to the big buyer or big companies, goes to the beauty and wellness sector and etc. But in the end, like we need the hub, this is the experience that we creating in our district member. The most important thing is like we need the facilitator and convener in the district level, not only in the national on high level element, but also in the district and subnational level. And the government, especially the local government, have the important role because they are a facilitator and regulator. But we know they have a limitation. For example, like a few months ago, in one of our district in Sintang in West Kalimantan, they creating the Sintang collaborative governance. They agreed. They invited all the CSO, development partner, private sector, and they discussing about the joint target of the Sintang for 2030. So this is like how the multi-stakeholder platform, how the multi-stakeholder partnership can happen in the grassroots level. And you can imagine like they can combining is the in-kind contribution from the private sector, from the NGOs to achieve the joint target almost 21 billion rupiahs. And it's like compare apple to apple with the regional budget in Sintang district. And this is how they can bring this vision to be reality, and how is the model is not only just picture, but also can be reality in the grassroots level. But I just want to share one point for the challenges. Again, it's still, we still have a 9 district member. And in Indonesia, we have more than 400 districts.
Even 5,
yeah,
I think.
Yeah, 400, I include the cities, right? Yeah, and we just creating the example, the blueprint. And we need many stakeholders can creating the model, because we know our district member is not sustainable district yet. Many, maybe another's other district, not all, not to be as our district member, they have an improvement also. But the most important thing is like there is a partner, there is some a model that we can creating with any kind of the alternative. Like I mentioned before, we cannot put in one fit size at all. So this is the process that we have, and maybe it is the first model that we can replicate together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And you're touching on an important point, but we also have to be mindful of the time. So I would like to continue with Roland and then Padarjat and Bu. We need to close. On how do we collaborate moving forward? Roland, maybe from your perspective as someone who works in a development agency, where do you see our role also supporting our partners in this ambition? And I will then continue with Padarjat, what he has in mind along the 8 challenges that we can probably get on the slide afterwards. Maybe Roland first, from your side.
Well, our role is to play, to be a neutral partner. We bring in technical expertise where I think we shouldn't get involved in political national discussion. We are a technically implementing agency, and that's where I see our major role. And so far in ASEAN, we play that well, and also we get acceptance from the partners. And what I want to emphasize in this regard is that ASEAN is quite diverse. So it's difficult to harmonize all the policies and the next steps towards net zero or carbon neutrality. But this diversity is also a great opportunity because ASEAN, the countries are complementing each other. So bringing in the regional perspective coming from Europe, being part of European Union, I think this is also an asset what we have in the collaboration with Indonesia and all other ASEAN countries.
Thank you very much. Also, to be brief, Padarjat, you mentioned these 8 strategies, strategic policy that will guide the incoming government. Maybe we can put them on the screen very quickly. What is your sense of how the incoming government will look for also international partners to move this together forward, also in the spirit of such a multi-stakeholder partnership forum?
Yeah, I don't think there's a need to show the slide. Indonesia can't do it alone, for sure. And for example, with standards, we need to work together with other countries. And actually, your name used to be GTZ, right? In the past.
Till 2011.
Yeah, actually, when I was a director of the Indonesian Eco-Labeling Institute, I got grants from GTZ, and I have some Germany friends who become our consultants.
It comes from the German government, though. We're just implementing it.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, even though maybe we can only take small steps, but it helps. And I think we need to work together, as Bu Winnie said, to bring awareness to people, to change mindset. This is the AI disruption. That's why we will do the risk of new pandemic. That we will invest in biotechnology and so on. So we transform these challenges into opportunities. But what I would like to stress is that people from the north and the south countries, we need to work together. The climate crisis we are facing is just too big. Just too big. And economic, political interests intertwine, and that's so complicated. And Pak Prabowo administration is very keen to work together with our friends on how to advance measures not only to mitigate climate change but also to adapt. because we need to go further. We need to adapt to climate change. And as I have shown before, you can use green principles as the driver that power your growth. I can give you many examples later on when we enter into discussion. For example, on how PLN from cost burden can be transformed into something that more beneficial to the people. Stop talking about subsidies anymore. Stop talking about proper tariff anymore. You just need to be more creative. You need to use the brain that God gave you in order to create some very smart financial and market technique. I think I will be talking too much later on.
Thank you. No, thank you very much, Pak Rajat. And please also prepare your questions already. We will ask the audience in a minute. Buwini, I give you the closing statement here on before we go to questions on how do we need to collaborate further in the spirit of multi-stakeholder partnerships. What are you looking for?
One is that one of the key success factors is actually partnership to ensure the green growth. And number two, we have to ensure not balancing the growth itself, but balancing between the supply and the demand side, because that is the one that can really accelerate the implementation of green economy principles into our economic activities. And number three is that we have to really acknowledge that changing the paradigm and changing the mindset is also a critical aspect. Again, that will be the three key points that we have. One is work together, partnership. Number two is balancing our economy. And number three is actually let's change the mindset.
Thank you very much. And for that, with that, please a round of applause for our speakers. And now I think we have a few minutes still to gather some questions in the audience first. There's someone going around with a microphone. Also, otherwise we have the availability to have questions from online participants. Maybe in the room first, if there's someone with a pressing question to our distinguished guests. If not, we can also see if there are some questions online, but please don't hesitate. If not, we utilize the time very well, because I went over time, so... okay, there are some questions. How can okay, mineral extraction and mining. Implementing green growth. Okay, I think the second one, implementing green growth, we covered that. ASEAN collaboration. I mean, I think the one on mineral extraction and mining, maybe I would like to get Pak Rajat's insights here. But quickly, Roland, do you think there's anything more to say on ASEAN collaboration, or it was pretty much covered, right? So you can, Pak Rajat can prepare how to make this balancing act.
So I have to fill the time now. Well, it's correct that ASEAN is not a binding organization, but the example I stressed earlier is on the ASEAN taxonomy to give guidelines to the region. And that's how I see ASEAN's role. Also looking at the regional perspective and not only at the national perspective. The regional perspective often looks different to the national policies, needs, and wants. Is it enough time, or shall I?
Pak Rajat, I think you're lucky because Ibu Amalia has to leave soon, so we need to move on with the question. But I think, or do you have a very quick answer if you want? No? Okay, then. No, I mean, we have to close with a photo. But if you want to have a very quick statement on the extractive industries.
Okay, Bu Sarah, very good questions and very challenging questions. But I think you should join my general lecture in Udayana tomorrow. Basically, yes, we cannot phase out straight away our use of our mineral resources, and that's not reasonable anyway. But you have to apply sustainability principle as well. So for renewable resources, Our downstreaming will be based on sustainability principles. For non-renewable resources like mineral, we need to reinvest the surplus into human capital development, into education, into health, so that we once the resource is depleted and gone, we will not experience what we experience with oil industries. With oil industry, we can't do anything because it's gone already. We need to reinvest the surplus into health and education and community. Please join my lecture tomorrow.
Thank
if
you very
are in
much.
Bali.
And a round of applause that concludes the session. And I think I hand over back to the MC for a quick also family photo. And Eka Chandra afterwards will have some closing remarks, I think. Bas, Kalisa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Oliver, for moderating the talk show. And we also give our sincerest gratitude to all speakers for the insightful discussion. Please give a big round of applause for a very insightful talk show session. To our esteemed moderator. Okay. Okay, Pak Chandra. First, I invite Pak Chandra to hand over the tokens of appreciation to Mr. Roland. Now, Pak Chandra, please hand over the tokens of appreciation to Ibu Ristika. Next, Pak Chandra, please hand over the tokens of appreciation to Bapak Derajat. And last, Pak Chandra, please hand over the tokens of appreciation to Mr. Oliver. Thank you, and everyone may return to your seat. To Bapak Eka Chandra Buana, please kindly remain on stage and proceed to the podium at your convenience. Okay, let's hear today's event conclusion and closing remarks from Bapak Eka Chandra Buana. Please, Pak Chandra, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Sasha. Distinguished delegates and speakers, ladies and gentlemen. As we bring the talk show, Balancing Economic Growth and Sustainability from Policy to Reality, please let me conclude today's inspiring discussion. We got the insight that showed a lot of effort to achieve a balance between economy side and environmental approach, which not only focus on achieving economic growth, but also making economic growth itself become sustainable. We have confirmed that all development agents, policymakers, think tank agency, academia, private sector, and also local champion have significant role to carry on sustainable development agenda. I think this is in line with our calculation that share of government investment around 10% of the total investment, and the rest is contribute from private sector. Therefore, in order to drive the economy more sustainable, the link between private and public sector is very crucial. The private sector can effect government policy process which translate to regulation, institutional arrangement to accelerate green growth economy. In addition, there are numerous initiatives from non-state actor. Lingkar Temu Kabupaten Lestari initiated to develop nature-based solution for the protection and restoration of nature on large scale to acquire high value added and growth. LTKL has also facilitated key stakeholders to ensure robust support for development of sustainable commodities from upstream to downstream. For example, LTKL has made effort to connecting the dot between primary commodities such as agriculture, established innovation center, production and incubation center, green network logistic, industrial sector, and service sector to build comprehensive ecosystem. On behalf of Bappenas, thank you for all our distinguished guests here, and look forward to working together to increase our collaboration and commitment in making our economy more sustainable. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Bapak Eka Chandra, for closing this event and providing a conclusion regarding this side event. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have gained valuable insights into the delicate balance between economic growth and sustainability. Our excellent speakers have shared their expertise, showing us that while challenges remain, there are concrete steps we can take to ensure that our policies not only drive economic progress, but also protect our environment for future generations. From the national strategies laid out to the grassroots initiatives driven by local champions, collaborations across all levels is the key to achieving our vision for a sustainable future. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, finally, the entire organizing team of this side event would like to sincerely thank our excellent speakers, our honorable guests, and all who have participated actively in today's event. We hope this event can contribute to the development of green economic growth in Indonesia as an emphasis to our commitment to balance economic growth and sustainability principles. My name is Kalisa Mutiara Purnamasari. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much and see you at the next event.